Like, do you remember when She-Hulk was twerking during that end credit scene? Ooh, people were P.O.'d. Hey, welcome to the channel. Today I review season 1 of the Disney Plus series She-Hulk. Let's get into it. First off, I love Tatiana Maslany as Jennifer Walters / She-Hulk. She's charismatic, she's funny, and she's so adorable. I think it's really cute how she's so tiny compared to everyone else, but she's also able to transform into this giant green muscle woman. It's cute and hilarious. I love her as She-Hulk. I hope she stays as the character for a long time because they casted her perfectly. I also thought the comedy of the show worked overall. It had a rough start. I didn't think it was that funny in the beginning, but as the season went along, it started finding its stride comically and getting me to chuckle more. It's more situational or awkward comedy, so something really strange would happen to Jennifer, and then she would look at the camera like, did that just happen? And I'll be like, yes girl, that did just happen, and it was very funny. And I loved the banter between all the characters because it was nice and witty. You had characters like Nikki and Pug who were great supporting characters comically. They were constantly 100 miles per hour and I could not stop smiling at them. And I thought She-Hulk had a really good story because it was different from other superhero media. She didn't fight this big bad villain at the end, or there wasn't a world-ending threat brewing in the background. This was just a woman learning to love every part of herself. Not at all what I was expecting, but people learning to love themselves is a story that always makes me happy. We finally get a closer look at the human aspect of being a superhero, how their actions as their alter egos have consequences that affect their personal life. We only get glimpses of that in superhero movies, but in this show, that's the whole premise, and I loved it. I also loved how this show was constantly trolling its haters, because it's one thing to have criticisms of a show, and I've heard those criticisms, and those have value. I'm just talking about this group of people who are really angry about She-Hulk because, let's be honest, it's because she's a woman, talking about woman things, and that makes these people really angry, and they say really awful stuff. But She-Hulk seemed to predict that that was gonna happen, and they literally made those haters the antagonists of the story, and it was awesome. Everything the creeps do in this show, I've seen and heard in real life. But it makes She-Hulk funny because, you know, haha, it's so true. But it's also kind of sad because, it's so true. I also liked how the show kept doing things to purposely get these people mad. Like, do you remember when She-Hulk was twerking during that end credit scene? Ooh, people were P.O.'d. And as a way to show my support for this show and to get those creepy people really upset, I too shall twerk. All right, here we go. Alex, what are you doing? I'm just showing support for She-Hulk by twerking. It's fine to show support, but you're not good at twerking. What? Yes, I am. I'm sorry, bro. You're not. And Daredevil's in this show, and I love him so much. Charlie Cox returns as the character, and people were complaining saying that this show was gonna ruin him and turn him into a joke, but that was not the case. He was awesome. They gave him his classic red and yellow costume, which I honestly didn't think was gonna work, but they pulled it off. It looked really tight. And his fight scenes were so epic, the show even gave him his own mini hallway scene. Like, She-Hulk didn't have to do that, but it did. And I loved the chemistry between Daredevil and She-Hulk. Like, as soon as they started interacting, I wanted them to get together, and then they hooked up, and I was like, yes, it has begun! If you watched his Netflix series or read any of his comics, you would know that Daredevil has had a pretty rough time of it, so it was really nice to see him being super happy in this. I need that for my heroes sometimes. Also, I think this show just confirmed a World War Hulk movie. Because the Hulk returns from Sakaar and he introduces everyone to his son Scar, and I'm like, oh my god, they're doing it! A lot of crazy things need to happen first beforehand, like the Hulk getting betrayed by the people he trusts, the ones he loves getting completely vaporized, but once all that happens, oh man, we're getting a movie. And talk about a season finale, because that was hilarious. It started off rough because all these storylines were colliding. The jerky guy suddenly got Hulk powers, the Abomination was back as his monstrous self, the Hulk came back to fight the Abomination. Like, it was becoming a mess, and I was not into it. But then She-Hulk pauses everything and was just like, this is a mess, isn't it? And I was like, yeah, girl, are you reading my mind? And then she breaks the fourth wall to confront the writers of the show and an AI version of Kevin Feige. Like, what? They even had her traverse, big word of the day, through the Disney Plus menu. Like, I thought that was great. I just love the extreme fourth wall breaking. It's something I really wanted more of from this show. And I loved how it makes fun of the messy climactic endings of superhero shows and movies. It's very self-aware, and that makes me smile. But the fourth wall breaking was also my biggest issue with this show because I don't think there was enough of it, especially on the same level as the finale. Every once in a while, She-Hulk would talk to the audience, but I wanted more of her interacting off the screen. Like, have the writers of the show actually be characters that She-Hulk yells at every once in a while. Kind of like what she does in the comics. One, that would have made the story even more interesting, and two, it would have prepped the audience for the craziness that was to come in this season finale. I was also pretty upset about how this show wasted the supervillains, the Wrecking Crew. Hey, what's the bat for? Oh, it's for you. Wait, what? Why? I thought you liked She-Hulk. And I did, but you wrecked the Wrecking Crew. Now I gotta wreck you. Oh, shit! While they're not the most well-known supervillains, the Wrecking Crew are very, very powerful. Like, they're capable of messing up the Avengers pretty bad. And I wanted to be able to see them in the movies. Maybe not as the main villains, but as maybe the henchmen of the main bad guy. They're just so cool. But in this show, they're not 8-foot tall, super buff powerhouses. They're just some lame dudes with magical weapons that don't even work. Broke my heart. Other than that, I really enjoyed She-Hulk. I thought it was funny, I loved what they did with most of the characters, and I liked how it took risk in trying to be different from anything else the MCU has done. So if you haven't already, don't listen to the toxic fans and watch She-Hulk for yourself on Disney Plus, because it's a fun ride that leaves you excited for more. Like a roller coaster. And make sure you check out even more of my reviews by clicking on the boxes right here, and I'll see you in a bit.
The A